Hello everyone and welcome back. This time we're going to be talking about what the presents going on tomorrow, further information on the DLC. This is going to be the 6 things that we need to be in the Pokemon DLC for Scarlet Violet. The Hidden Treasure of Area 0, Part 1, the Teal Mask, and Part 2, the Indigo Disc. Really whichever part these come into, doesn't really matter so long as these 6 major things need to come. And starting off with the first one of these, it's a way of evolving Ursaluna and really the other Hisuian Pokemon in Scarlet Violet, rather than needing to send them back into Legends Arceus in order to evolve them. Yeah, you can use them in the game, you can even use them in online competitive, and you still cannot obtain them within the game. And you can get the Black Augerite and the Peat Block, I think that's the name for the one to evolve Ursaluna, but you cannot evolve them in the game proper yet, which is very weird and very dumb in my opinion. And this actually goes into you can't use Violet on Ursaring yet. Again, Ursaluna is not technically within the Pokedex that is available right now, which is why you actually can't use a Violet on Ursaring. That's the only thing I can think of for why it hasn't been available yet, but that's a really dumb reason. And this, especially if what happens at Worlds with all the hacking and genning of Pokemon that came out because people could not get Ursaluna and didn't want to have to transfer back into the game and back, they need to make some way of doing this soon. Hopefully the first DLC is going to open this, and that's going to be out in a few weeks. But before we get on to the next one, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more, and comment below what of these 6 things is your favorite, and even what you think is going to be needed for the DLC to succeed, hopefully. But number 5 is Terramax Adventures. It's basically a terrestrialized version of Dynamax Adventures. Now, love or hate Terra Raids, they're not great. They are very much not as good as the Dynamax Adventures and even the Dynamax Raids we had back in Sword and Shield. And especially with the Mewtwo event going on, it is a bit worrying that we are not even going to be able to shiny hunt legendaries in Scarlet Violet. They're going to do this maybe 2-week long release of legendaries where you can get the legendary then, but you can't shiny hunt it because of course the Mewtwo is shiny locked. But what they need is a way of shiny hunting them. Something such as Dynamax Adventures but with Terra Style Pokemon. And the reason why this is important is that if you think back to Sword and Shield, the game had Legends Arceus come out, and people still played Sword and Shield over Legends after several months of Legends being out. That game, even into Scarlet Violet's release, kept Sword and Shield alive. If they have something like Dynamax Adventures with Terra Style Pokemon for the legendaries, that would keep people playing well into the release of the Black and White remakes. Now, this would of course entail them having to fix Terra Raids, making them a little bit less buggy, or even just making them more like Dynamax Adventures, where it's a 1 turn per thing. Kind of getting rid of that really kind of dumb, real-time battling system they have for it. The other part is, grinding Terra Shards is a huge pain in the blank. And this would really fix that. This would give you access to more Terra Shards of maybe a specific type that you want, and just easier way of grinding Terra Shards. Because they're going to have to release some way of us being able to get the legendaries. And they can't time lock them to 2 specific weeks, because then, oh, you missed it, you're screwed. There has to be some way of getting the legendaries. For a way of getting Herba Mystica that isn't linked to specifically to Terra Raids. This kind of goes hand in hand with the second thing we mentioned, where Terra Raids themselves are not fun, they're a grind. You do them because you need the Terra Shards, you need the items they give, and now you need the Herba Mystica. People can say that, yes, shiny hunting is a bit too easy. Actually, it's very easy now with the Herba Mystica making shiny odds kind of insane. But people do still want Herba Mystica, and forcing yourself to grind Terra Raids in order to get them is just really not fun. And we're not raiding Terra Raids because we want to. We raid them because we need to. So giving some way of getting access to Herba Mystica without doing Terra Raids would be necessary. I'm not saying like 1 million Pokédollars for like 20 Herba Mystica. No, it would need to be maybe once a day you get maybe 1, 2, 3 Herba Mystica, and then it's like a huge cost. So maybe like $1 million Pokédollars for like 2 Herba Mystica, something like that. You know, some big cost to make it so yeah, there's still Terra Raids to do, but you now have a choice of whether you want to suffer through Terra Raids or do this other method to get them. And I'm not talking about the end of season rewards for Battle Stadium, where if you get to Master Ball rank, you get, what is it, 3 Sweet Herba Mystica per form? Yeah, I get to Master Ball rank every season, and yeah, that's not fun. You get 3 for one format, 3 for the other formats, you get 6 a month. Not worth it. It takes longer to actually do that than get Herba Mystica. Normally from Terra Raids. It is not worth it. So you need another system of getting Herba Mystica. Again, this kind of goes hand in hand with the previous one of Terra Max raids, where you get some sort of Terra raid currency that you can exchange for maybe Terra shards, exchange for Urban Mystica, like you could do with a Dynite ore. Number 3 is, in my opinion, the most important one, and it's a battle facility. We know that there's going to be the Blueberry Academy sort of battle league, where that is somewhat going to function as a new Elite Four, but what we really need is a battle facility system. Maybe not battle facility like the Battle Frontier proper was back in, say, the Hoenn games or the original Sinnoh games and the Johto remakes, but something maybe like the Battle Subway, where there is battle facilities, like restricted sparring, where it's just somewhere you can go and you can battle, maybe not under true competitive conditions, but just some other battling system that isn't just you can go in with ridiculous level 100s and body level, maybe like 60 teams, where you can just clown on them. Now, some sort of, again, like restricted sparring was back in Sword and Shield. The fact that both restricted sparring existed, and they did actually change the opponents in the Battle Tower in the BDSP remake, in BDSP, where you have Cyrus, you have the gym leaders, it does show that they are still considering battling facility formats, and hopefully they will actually do something good about that with this newer thing that they're adding to the game. Battle facilities, we need them. Because battle facilities are really what help keep things going. Shiny hunting is fantastic, but unless you're doing a living shiny dex like we are, most people can hunt maybe their favorite shinies and then just kind of be done with shiny hunting. Battling, it helps get people into battles, especially because they do seem to want to be getting more people into battling. Something like that would be a fantastic system. This would also fill the second problem that a lot of Pokemon games actually have, and it's that they don't really teach you how to do things when it comes to Pokemon battling. There's so many complex things about Pokemon, they never teach you. And it's one of the reasons why so many people are just lost when it comes to doing things like Terra Raids. They bring in glass cannons like Gengar into Terra Raids, and they get obliterated. Or just things like that. People don't really understand, not necessarily type interactions, but stats. And even now you see things like, oh, Terra Raid is a Dragon type. I'm going to bring Fairy types, and the Pokemon naturally is a base Poison type, which destroys the Fairy types. This would also go hand in hand with this sort of battle facility thing, you know, teaching people more effective battling systems, not, say, spoon-feeding the solutions to things. Again, this is a problem that happens with the level 7 Terra Raids, where people aren't thinking dynamically about how to beat the bosses. They're going online and looking up a guide for, oh, this is how you beat the boss, and then just do that. They know what to do, they don't know why it works, which they need to really help encourage, and a battle facility would help that. The next one, and this is something that I think is going to be exclusively for me and a couple of competitive battlers, it is there needs to be some way of resetting IVs. We've already got the bottle caps, which are capable of hyper-training Pokemon to have a perfect 31 IVs functionally when it comes to competitive battling. Now, if you breed something, it will pass down the original IV, so if you have, say, a 1 special attack IV and you put on the power item for special attack, it'll pass down that 1 special attack IV. It won't pass down the perfect that the hyper-training gives it. So, why have they made a thing that maxes your IVs, but not a minimizer for IVs? This seems like you have one for one, why not just do something for the other? Like they're very, especially after what happened at Worlds, I know I kind of keep bringing that up, but this is kind of something that is many years overdue for us to have something like an anti-bottle cap. Again, if competitive accessibility is going to be continued opening up generation after generation, why are they still gatekeeping the one thing that is a huge problem for new people? When legendaries come into the play, 0 IVs are a big problem, because not everyone wants to spend hours resetting for a legendary. Like, I mean, we're going for a 0 speed Enamorus in this game. We have to play through this entire game, and then we get 1 crack at Enamorus. It is a 1 in 10 shot of getting that 0 speed, 0 attack. It is a 1 in 10 chance of getting the 0 speed Enamorus in this game per playthrough, and you can't check IVs in this game. You need to save, turn the game off, import that thing into Pokemon Home, then check the IV. It's not a 1 or not a 0, you're SOL. And you gotta restart the entire game from square one and get back to an Enamorus. Not fun. So, some sort of IV minimizer needs to be done. And finally, number 6 or number 1, depending on which order you're going for the list, is story. There is still so much left to explore about the paradoxes, about Arven's backstory. Canonically, one of Arven's parents is still alive. His mother or father, depending on which version you play, actually left after he was born. So, with the new areas of Area Zero going to be opening up with the, well, past legendary beasts and future legendary Swords of Justice, why not bring them in? There's so much story about the mystery of what are the paradoxes, where do they come from, why do they exist, because it's important to remember, Suicune, Entei, and Raikou did not exist until recently. Because when the Burn Tower burned down, Ho-Oh revived them. But they were regular Pokemon before that. When Ho-Oh revived them, they became the legendary beasts. So, how can there be ancient ancestors of these Pokemon when they didn't exist until maybe 200 years ago at most? Because the Burn Tower burned down recently within relative, memory of Pokemon. It was more recent than Legends Arceus, and Legends takes place in the 1800s. So, how can something that came out basically within 200 years have ancestors from millions of years ago? They need to explain that. And there's so much story left to tell. And a lot of the things so far have been gameplay, but story is the big thing. I mean, someone from me, I'm a big lore guy. There's a very good reason I bought this over $50 Halo lore textbook, because I'm a sucker for lore. And especially after Legends Arceus did such a great job of really compiling the lore that existed beforehand, it shows that lore is something that is on the minds of the developers. So why not explore the story further? We need to know more. And again, bring in the rivals. That's fantastic. Bring in Arven. We want to see more Arven. Arven needs a happy ending. But he just wanted to protect his precious doggo. Give boy happy ending. But that's really all there is for this. We got the presents tomorrow, so that's going to be fun. And if you haven't done so already, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment below about what your favorite thing here. If you enjoyed, like it. If you don't, of course, slam that dislike button. Meet your man with that dislike button. And yeah, this is going to be interesting to see what we get tomorrow. My big hope for tomorrow is I don't think we're going to get the Paradox Entei Paradox Terrakion revealed, but I can hope.